Hey everybody, welcome to the NerdNest. I'm Bill Fairchild, and this is my channel all about video games. And today, my video is a little bit different than what you guys usually get from me. Today, I've got an interview with Lawrence Yang and Steve Cardinelli of Valve, and it's all about the Steam controller. I've had the Steam controller for about a week at this point, and in that time, I've already put out my first impressions video of it, which was after 24 hours of use. I'm in the middle of working on my long-term review for this thing, so make sure that you subscribe for that. And I also put out a tutorial that talks you through some of the surface level things that you can do with this, with more tutorials to come. But after using it for about a week, I was like, I got some questions for Valve, and I reached out to them, and I cannot believe that they said yes. So here is my interview with Lawrence Yang and Steve Cardinelli. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I want you to come up with an answer in your head, and then I'm going to count to 3, and I want you guys to have to say your answers on this. Okay? All right. And this is just a A or B answer. So, who is the better antagonist, GLaDOS or Wheatley?
GLaDOS.
Oh, that look is exactly what I wanted to happen. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. So we got the most important question out of the way. Let's jump in and actually talk about the controller. The first controller came out in 2015. Why did it take you guys 11 years to follow up on it?
Yeah, I mean, so we actually kind of think of it as the Steam Deck was a controller in between the first Steam controller and the 2026 one. And a lot of that is because you can see a lot of what we learned from the first Steam controller in Steam Deck. So the first Steam controller was set out to show you can play mouse and keyboard games with a controller if the controller was designed for that to start with. But what we learned from that controller is that it was great for that, but it was lacking a lot of the traditional gamepad inputs, specifically a second thumbstick, a dedicated D-pad. And so it didn't jive with people who just wanted a normal gamepad. And so for the Steam Deck, we set out to solve that problem and to make sure that we took all of the great inputs we added to the first Steam controller, put it in the Steam Deck along with all the normal traditional inputs. And there was a lot of hard work done to make all of that fit ergonomically. There's a lot of inputs, right? And not a lot of space for people's hands. So really, like, you can kind of look at it as like 5-year stints, right? Between first Steam controller, Steam Deck, and then the second Steam controller, where we then took the Steam Deck and turned it into an ergonomic form factor controller.
Yeah. I think another way to look at it is Steam controller, and basically all the work that we do in hardware and related things is really to help customers play their Steam games. So the original Steam controller really was like, oh, a lot of people are playing games with mouse and keyboard. It'd be great if there was a controller form factor where they could play those same games. And after the original Steam controller, we didn't stop working on input. Input is incredibly important for playing games. So we continued improving Steam input. We continued adding more compatibility for basically any controller that you can plug into your PC. And then, again, with our additional hardware efforts with VR and then with Steam Deck and then now Steam controller and all of the other things we're working on, input is one of the high level things that we really think about to make sure that we get right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, Steve, you mentioned that you brought all of the things from the original controller over to Steam Deck, but you did leave out one thing, and that is the dual stage triggers on the original Steam Deck. They're like an awesome feature. I'm curious, what was your reasoning behind deciding, okay, you know what, those aren't what we want to bring into the Steam Deck, and instead we'll do it through Steam input?
I actually don't have the answer to that question because I wasn't around for Steam Deck time.
Okay.
But I can say why they weren't in the Steam controller is because, we wanted things to have parity with Steam Deck and to feel natural when you're going back and forth. I think you kind of harken on the fact that Steam input does allow you to do that effectively by assigning soft pulls and full pulls to functionality. So, in a lot of ways, the functionality is still there. Yes, people are lacking a tactile input at the end of the trigger throw, and it is something we've heard a lot from the community. Something that we just keep in mind moving forward as well.
Interesting. A quick question about the puck.
Yeah,
the puck is tiny. I've lost things 12 times larger than the puck. And so are you guys going to sell the pucks separately for people that lose these things, or is that something where you would partner with iFixit for that?
It's actually something we discussed internally a bit. We wanted to see if there would be a lot of customer demand. We didn't know if people would want to have multiple pucks in case they wanted to have multiple charging stations, or to have two different pucks on two different PCs so they could move pairing around between the different devices. So to start with, it's not for sale, but we are keeping an eye on it. And if it does come out that there is a real customer demand for additional pucks, we'll work on making it available for folks.
This video is sponsored by Titan Mattress. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I see you thinking about skipping the ad, but this one is important to everyone that sleeps. And unless you're a zombie, you sleep. But if you're not getting good enough sleep, you end up feeling like a zombie when you wake up. This is the Titan Elite. I've been sleeping on it for close to 2 months now, and I have to say, this thing is so comfortable. When it arrived, it was in this box that I thought was way too small to actually hold a mattress, but unboxing it was really easy. As soon as you pull the plastic off, it expands to its full size. The Titan Elite has a built-in Glaciotex Plus cooling cloud pillow top. It's designed to wick away heat and keep you at the ideal temperature while you sleep. It feels absolutely great to sleep on with just the right amount of firmness. My wife and I used to have a mattress topper, but we ended up getting rid of it with this mattress because we just don't need it anymore. Plus, it doesn't transfer movement to your partner, so you don't have to worry about waking them up if you're flipping over in the middle of the night. Because Titan ships straight from the factory to you, there's no middleman taking a cut. This means that they can use premium materials without bringing up the cost. And all of their mattresses are designed in Arizona by master craftsmen who have been building mattresses for over 30 years. So if you want to stop feeling like a zombie in the morning, visit titanmattress.com/nerdnest to get 30% off your order with code NerdNest. And get yours today with their 120-night sleep trial and limited lifetime warranty. Huge thanks to Titan for sponsoring this episode. Now you can go back and watch the rest of the video, but I'm going to take a nap. Was there, for controller, was there any discussion of swappable joysticks or D-pads that you could swap out, or trigger locks? And if so, why did you guys ultimately, now that you've answered that previous question about feature parity, that kind of already answers itself, doesn't it? So
I mean, I can give a little more context there, though, because those things came up, and there was a bit of a conversation around the identity of the controller, and like, is this a true pro controller? Is this a budget gamepad, right? We know what the Steam Deck is, and we wanted to maintain input parity. And so both for the Steam Deck and for the controller, we really aim to provide as many, call it modes of input, different ways to play games as possible without adding so many flourishes to the, say, like, modulating that input, because that can drive up costs, and we want to try to keep costs down for customers to try to get as much input value as possible, and high quality hardware as possible for a reasonable price.
Yeah. Okay. So you kind of mentioned this. Do you guys consider it to be a standard controller or a premium controller? Like, on my podcast, we had a long conversation about like where we felt like it landed between those two things. What do you guys think?
I mean, when I compare it to other controllers that are out on the market, I feel like it does have a lot of those premium features that you would find on the premium level of controllers. For me, though, I mean, coming from a person who uses Steam Deck a lot, it's just a controller that makes sense. It's a controller that feels familiar and has all the inputs that I need in order to play all of the Steam games the way that I want to. So I don't know if it necessarily has to fit into one of those buckets.
Yeah, I personally think it kind of fits in between and kind of its own category, because, with premium controllers, you get a lot of additional things, like you're saying, swappable thumbsticks or metal D-pad or metallized plastic components that make it feel and look just kind of more premium in general. And I think for this controller, we wanted to focus, like I had just said, on adding a lot of different ways to play and input value, right? Like, we have the TMR thumbsticks, we have 2 trackpads, we have GripSense, we have 4 buttons in the back, all these things that give you a lot of flexibility, without trying to like really drive up the price and get to the pro price point by adding all those extra things. So it's kind of lives in between. And for people who want to experiment with new inputs, it's a good way to get started without having to pay, the top tier pro controller price point, I think.
Yeah. And a lot of our goals don't necessarily align with those of the other controllers that are out there. Like, for instance, we put a lot of emphasis on repairability, right? Yeah. Steve is an ME. He spent a lot of time making sure that this thing, you could take it apart and service it yourself, or maybe swap out buttons if you want to. We spent a lot of time thinking about battery life. We don't want people to be worried about having to charge this thing halfway through like a 5-hour gaming session.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time thinking about ergonomics and making sure it fit into everyone's hands. We thought about familiarity for people coming with, from Steam Deck. So those are the kind of priorities that we had. And that's not necessarily the same priorities as everyone else in the market.
No, that's absolutely fair. You mentioned Steam input a little bit.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most creative use of Steam input that you've seen somebody come up with so far?
What was I watching the other day? I had mentioned that we were working on some tutorials for Steam input and the controller to help you get more value out of your controller. I had seen somebody who they mapped their Steam controller via Steam input to Blender, and they just had this custom config set up where they can just fully model in Blender.
Oh wow.
And they got to the point where they were faster than mouse and keyboard because of it felt, especially with rotating cameras and stuff, the thumbsticks feel way more natural than like a mouse for some people. And I was like, that's crazy. How much time they put into setting that up. And crazy good, not crazy bad, right? We love seeing people take advantage of the power Steam input. You
guys support a lot of different controllers, not just your own. It's crazy the amount of, like you mentioned earlier, the amount of different controllers that you guys support in Steam input. What makes you decide, you know what, we're going to support this controller, but this one is not there yet? Or maybe, what is the reasoning for why these ones get support and these ones don't?
I'd say a lot of it comes from community interest. We're always listening to what folks are talking about, what folks are asking for. And I think we have a pretty regular clip of adding new controllers to Steam input functionality.
I mean, I'm constantly seeing added this controller into Steam input, and I'm like, I never heard of that thing. It's crazy, in a good way.
Yeah. We definitely try hard here to make sure we can address as many controllers as.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of the philosophy. Even though we're making our own hardware to play Steam games on, it ultimately comes back to, PC is great because everyone has their own ways of playing. Yeah. Everyone has their preferred, hardware that they choose to use to play all of their games. So we want to make sure that however people want to play their Steam games, we're able to support it.
Cool. When you guys were making your the Steam controller, and you mentioned repairability earlier, when you open this thing up, everything's labeled, which is awesome. Does that is that hard to do, to get everything to be labeled, or is that just something you're like, well, we're just going to label everything, and then because nobody else does that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little extra cost for silk screening or pad printing the labels on, but for us, it's a no-brainer, right? We want to help the community be able to repair this stuff, so it's.
Yeah, we knew from the beginning we'd be working with iFixit to provide replacement parts. We knew from the beginning people would be taking this apart in order to do their own tinkering and modding. So, we are also a community of tinkerers and modders ourselves, so we wanted to make sure that it was as easy as possible.
And that's probably why you guys released those CAD files, whichever. I can't wait to see what people are coming up with.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any stuff that you're like, okay, this is my prediction, that people are going to do this with those CAD files? Do you guys have predictions for what we're going to see?
I mean, I fully expect to see full controller docks with the puck embedded in it. That's kind of one of the reasons we kept the puck small, to your point before, is that it's easier for the maker community to build around it if it's small, and we don't over prescribe how to use it, but also we wanted to respect your desk real estate. And if you want to make a big dock, there will very, very soon, or there are already docks that you can 3D print and put your puck in and have that standard dock experience.
You guys talked about earlier, you said you know, that you're doing hardware. You don't do a lot of hardware. Like, you don't do tons of different hardware. It's kind of a rare thing when Valve ships out new hardware. Do you guys consider yourself a hardware company, or do you still just focus? No, we're more software, and hardware is just like the side thing that we're doing.
It's a good question. I mean, my personal answer to this, and I'm sure everyone has their own version of it, but like I see Valve as a company of three pillars. We make games, we run Steam, and we make hardware. But all of it is in service of helping our customers have fun playing games. So
yeah, we want to add value to the gaming community in whatever way we can, and hardware is a big part of that for people. And so we're happy to make hardware to help people play more games.
And real quick, I wanted to remind you guys of our NerdNest parody merch store. If you go to nerdnest.dashery.com, you're going to find the one design that I have right now, but I have 3 more that we've been working on. So those are coming soon. But the one that we have right now lets you remind everybody that they are currently living through the Rampocalypse. If that sounds good, there's links down below. Let's get back to the interview. You mentioned earlier it's kind of like this 5-year cycle where it was the Steam controller, and then it was the Steam deck, and now it's the Steam controller again, and you know, they're your future hardware. How far out did you guys plan your hardware timeline initially? Did you go into the idea of, well, we're going to do the deck and then we're going to do machine, or did you decide, you know what, the Steam Deck did so well, let's make the next thing, let's make a console, if you guys want to call it a console, or if you want to call it a PC, whatever you want to call it, I get it.
How would we answer this? I mean, we're always thinking about things we can do in the future when it makes sense for the team and when we have bandwidth for it. We are actually a pretty small company, so like we only have limited ammunition to spend. So a lot of it is like, even Steam Deck, it was an idea that was around for a while, and it took all the stars aligning and APUs to get good enough with a lower power envelope, software to be there, SteamOS to get there, for us to say, okay, now it makes sense to make Steam Deck. And then once Steam Deck was there, we're like, okay, great, we have SteamOS, we have this platform. Wouldn't it be cool if it was more powerful? Or wouldn't it be cool if I could play my Steam Deck while it's docked to my TV?
Yeah.
A lot of these things came out of that. I don't know if it was necessarily after Steam Deck that we first started thinking about these new things.
I feel like in some ways Steam Deck kind of invigorated the hardware initiative in some ways. Like, it was highly successful, people love it, and it's like, okay, yeah, let's do this, let's keep doing stuff like this. And so the Steam controller was one of the first things to come out of that as well, where it's like, okay, we have these docked Steam Decks, let's solve that problem, right? People go to play on their couch and they have a controller and different inputs. The Steam controller just makes sense at that point.
It was a nonstop question that I was constantly asking as soon as I got the Steam Deck in my hand is, God, I don't want to use all these other controllers because none of them have everything that the Steam Deck has. Yeah. So I'm super happy that you guys ended up doing it. Speaking of we get back to the controller, it's missing a headphone jack. And I'm curious, what is the reasoning behind the headphone jack? Is it because you couldn't fit it in there because you have so much other stuff, or was there a different reason?
Yeah, I mean, it primarily comes down to just prioritizing features for all the different ways to play games and without adding too much cost to the product. It was something that was discussed, and it just didn't feel at the time something that we felt like was adding the value needed to drive up the price for everybody, essentially. Yeah.
It also had some bandwidth implications.
Yeah. There's some complexity with like Bluetooth gaming and audio out through the headphones. It's hard to pass both high quality audio and game input signal through Bluetooth. The puck in some ways can solve that, but we couldn't guarantee a good experience with Bluetooth as well. And we wanted to make sure we had Bluetooth.
So like on the Steam Deck, I can plug a headphone jack into a USB-C dongle and put that in, and it works. That won't work on the Steam controller, correct?
No, I don't believe so. I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So which is a better Half-Life, 1, 2, or the episodic stuff? I'll let you guys think about that before you answer, and then
You missed one
ready?
big one.
Alex? Is that the one you were waiting? I'm not going to ask about 3 because...
Yeah, no, sorry. So Alex I was talking about.
Yeah, okay. So 1, 2, the episodic stuff, or Alex? What's your favorite one?
Alex.
1.
1, okay. Excellent.
Can we give justifications?
If you want, of course.
I feel like we need the opportunity to like stand by our answers.
You have to defend yourself.
Yeah, do it.
Well, for me, 1 like kicked off like the genre or the Half-Life series and story. I actually replayed it again on my Steam Deck using exclusively trackpads as a way to practice and get better with trackpads. And it's just like, for the time when it was released, I was like, wow, this is such a good game. And like my uncle, who was a huge Valve fan, was like, that game like changed me. You know, like he made him into a Valve fan because of how revolutionary it was at the time.
Alex is the only Half-Life game I could complete. Because I can't play first-person shooters. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
Oh, that happened to me with the first one when I tried to replay it. I played it and beat it when I was younger, but now these days I got motion sick playing the first one again, and I was just like, especially in the boat, I was like, oh, I'm out. I had to stop playing.
Yeah, Half-Life Alyx, like I got too spooked. I had to stop for a little bit.
Yeah, there's some.
I would like leave, and my blood pressure would be high, and the zombies were coming. I couldn't reload.
I wish I could play the other ones. I was that kid who, when everyone was playing GoldenEye, I would play for 20 minutes, and then I would go lay down for a while because I was too sick. Yeah, it sucked.
Well, I guess you guys will have to remake 1 and 2 in the VR engine so that Lawrence can play them.
And then I can be too scared to play them.
Yes, exactly.
That's right. You know, it'll be the perfect mix. All right. Talking about VR, you guys have documentation that says that the Steam controller has a greater drain on battery life when the controller is being tracked by the Steam frame. Can you guys put that to a number? Is there how much? I mean, if the battery life on this is crazy, is it enough to even bother mentioning?
It's enough to bother mentioning, mostly because the IR light takes extra power, but it's something we're still,
it's still. Yeah, it's not enough. We're not at a point of optimization where we have a clear number yet. Only that we wanted to share that it would have some impact on the insane 35-hour battery life.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the battery life on this is crazy. I just plug it in when I sleep, and then it's always fully charged, and I never have to worry about it. So I think you guys nailed the battery life on there.
That's great.
So far, the only controller that other than yours that has capacitive thumbsticks is the HoriPad Steam controller that you guys partnered with. Do you guys plan on partnering with anybody else to make controllers that have capacitive thumbsticks like that, or was that just the one-off? And now that you got your own, you don't need to do that anymore. We can just buy yours.
Yeah, the HoriPad was I would say it's one of the first Steam compatible controllers out there. We have a whole free license and a spec that we can work with companies who are interested in making Steam compatible controllers. So I would like to think that there would be other ones. And we've talked to a few companies, and then we are talking to a few companies. So maybe in the future there will be more of them.
Awesome.
Yeah, and quick correction, they're magnetic sensing thumbsticks, not capacitive.
No,
capacitive on top.
CapSense. The HoriPads are CapSense. Yeah, not TMR.
You're right.
First time for everything. That's never happened before.
Thumbsticks, and I've seen some discussion of people asking about those too, so I wanted to just make sure. Sorry.
Yeah, when you guys launched this Steam Deck and it had capacitive thumbsticks and I used it, I was like, I never want to use another controller that doesn't have capacitive thumbsticks because it just makes the gyro so much easier to use. For the Steam controller launch, you guys ran out of those things so fast, and then you pivoted to a reservation system for, once that happens. Do you guys plan on having that same reservation system for future hardware launches, or is this on a case-by-case basis?
Well, we will probably have them for future hardware releases. I think that we were honestly surprised, honestly, if we could do it over again, we would have started with reservations. It was not expected, and we feel really bad that folks had a bad experience on launch day.
Yeah,
it was not our intent. for everyone to be slamming the button over and over again, only to not be able to buy it. So I wish we had started with reservations. We were honestly, we thought we had plenty of stock, and we even gave interviews, the two of us, saying we feel good about launch day. We have plenty of stock. We have like 2 or 3 times more inventory than we did for any of our other products at launch. But we underestimated the number of people who were interested in getting Steam Controller on day one, on minute one, and that was a bad experience for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Well, live and learn. Things happen.
Lesson learned. Yeah. Now we know for next time, and now we have the reservation system. And when that went live, a lot of people were able to get in line, and we're excited to be able to start fulfilling on those reservations by the end of this week. We have shipments coming into warehouses now, so that'll be coming out soon. What
question do you guys feel like you have an absolutely killer answer for that no one has asked you?
This is a good question.
Oh gosh.
I feel like
so hard.
I feel like we try to do a good job sharing everything that we think is really cool about our products, and like just most of our marketing and our website and in our interviews.
We've done so many of these. I feel like we've answered every question I could think of. And the problem is, here's the problem. We get asked so many questions that we don't think we're going to get asked that I can't think of a question that I wouldn't get asked, because we, try to think about questions that we could get asked. Well, I had got this question once before, but, the GripSense is something that I think is a good story in itself, that it's kind of like a feature that grew from the community of growing gyro gamers, and specifically people at Valve who are passionate about that and kind of like heard the controller was happening and came down and just like made a pitch for the feature itself. And I think that just, to me, that's a really heartwarming story about how like people, here really care about the gaming community and trying to get things in that people really care about.
So when you guys are using gyro in a game, are you like, which one do you use the most? Do you use the capacitive to turn it on with the trackpad on the stick, or the GripSense? What's the use case that you use the most?
I use GripSense. I actually put in a bunch of hours the other weekend playing a hero shooter game with gyro to see how I would do versus mouse and keyboard, and I actually was better with gyro. Surprisingly, I got frustrated at one point because I had a losing streak, and I was like, I'm gonna go back to mouse and keyboard, then I'll be way better. And I did way worse. I was like, okay, well, I guess it's not the gyro, it was me. I'm just not good at this game. I use GripSense. I know at launch we had a couple issues where the GripSense sensitivity adjustment wasn't working right. I think we've pushed firmware updates where that should be working now again. So, if you've tried it and you had an issue, I'd recommend trying it again and seeing if you can get the sensitivity to a place that you like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and to that point, if folks have feedback, please reach out. We have forums live, or reach out to us through various forums. We're always looking for community feedback on bugs you run into or features you like to add in. Like just like Steam Deck, it's a product that isn't, brush our hands off once we shipped it. We keep making it better over time. So this is definitely going to be something that folks will be working on.
Well, Steve, Lawrence, it's awesome to meet you guys, and it's an honor to have you guys on the show. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down with me and answer a few questions about what I think is going to be a lot of people's favorite controller. So have a good one, guys.
It means a lot. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, I'm in the middle of editing this video, and I just got an email from Valve basically giving me an answer to one of the questions that I asked during the video that they didn't have an answer to. The question was, look, the dual stage triggers in the original Steam controller were really cool. Why did you guys go away from that feature? Here's what they said. Around the time that we were designing Steam Deck, the most common feedback we heard about the original Steam controller dual stage triggers was that it really confused a lot of customers, especially those coming from controllers without that feature. Many users even reported that the triggers were broken because of it. So the decision was made on Steam Deck to provide a more standard tactile feel for triggers and provide that functionality within Steam Input. The new Steam controller followed suit so that we could provide that same familiar experience and have input parity. We've seen the feature gaining traction in recent years, though, and we're always open to feedback and look forward to hearing what our customers think. So if you guys, like me, really liked the dual stage triggers that were in the original Steam controller, and you want those to make a comeback, you gotta let Valve know. And just a few minutes ago, Lawrence said, let them know in their forums, let them know in the comments down below, let them know in any way that you can that you are a fan of this dual stage triggers. And if you're not, let them know that too. It's better if they get the most accurate information from their audience. And I think that it's really awesome that they were able to give me that answer even after the interview was over. But that's going to wrap up this video. Before you get out of here, if you have questions that you wish that I had asked, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and I will forward off select ones to Lawrence Yang and see if he has answers for us. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If it's your first time here, please subscribe. From the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill. Stay rad, and thanks for watching.